Hey there guys, John Campea here, and thank you for visiting my movie vlog as I give my quick review of the brand new film, the sequel, Kingsman The Golden CIrcle. Now, of course, the first Kingsman movie came out and caught a lot of us by surprise, a very pleasant surprise. The movie was fun, great action, just the right amount of silliness, just the right amount of fun, some good humor, wonderful performances by Colin Firth, Taron Egerton as Eggsy in there. We got Mark Strong was in there. So obviously all of us were really excited when they announced that they were doing a Kingsman 2. The trailers have looked really sharp. A lot of us are like, oh my gosh, Colin Firth is back. And we were so hyped to see this. Went out to see this the other day, and I can tell you, honestly, I'm a little bit disappointed by it. In Kingsman The Golden CIrcle, we see old enemies and new enemies uniting to, number one, take out the Kingsman, and number two, hatch a plot to kind of establish global domination. Of course, every bad guy organization in these types of movies is trying to establish global domination. Okay, normally when I do these reviews, I like to talk about the things I liked first and then talk about the things I didn't like. I'm going to start this one, though, by talking about the things that kind of frustrated me with the movie. Now, first of all, the movie starts off real strong. There's a great opening sequence to the movie that was really fun. I'll talk about that a little bit more a bit later. But remember when I said about the first Kingsman, it had that great balance of just the right amount of silliness, like just a little bit of silliness in there to make it fun. I mean, hey, we got people's heads exploding with rainbow poofy clouds. Of course, there's a bit of silly. Unfortunately, in the Kingsman, The Golden CIrcle, they took the silliness that they had turned up to a 5 in the first one, and they cranked it up to 9. In the first Kingsman, yes, there was definitely some silliness in there, but when scenes like the church scene happened in the first, and if you've seen the first Kingsman, you know the scene I'm talking about, that when the scenes like the church scene happened, you took it very seriously. Like it was the visceralness and the seriousness of it that actually brought you into it amidst all this wild comic book types of action. The problem is in Kingsman The Golden CIrcle, by ramping up the silliness from 5 to a 9 or maybe even a 10, you take away anything that would let you remotely take any scene in the movie seriously. Like there's some pretty decent fight scenes in the movie, but with everything feeling so silly and so satirical, nothing feels like there's any stakes, at hand. There's no problem going on. There's nothing in here that's really serious or that you as an audience member should even remotely take seriously. A great illustration of this is the villains themselves. Like in the first one, you had Samuel L. Jackson and you had Sofia Boutella. Samuel L. Jackson was, yes, very eccentric and a little weird and a little bit of silliness to them, but at the heart of it, he was a very brilliant, ruthless villain. Sofia Boutella, yeah, she had kind of like that whole different kind of look when she had no legs from the knees down and she had those spring blade things for legs instead. Okay, we got that. But they've replaced that in this movie now with Julianne Moore, who is one of the great actresses of all time. But they give us this Poppy character who, instead of having a little bit of silliness and eccentricity to her character, she's just like, it's totally a clown. She's just totally ridiculous and a clown. And instead of a Sofia Boutella henchman with blades for legs, you got completely AI, self-aware robotic dogs that are just stupid. Then in the marketing campaign would lead you believe that this film stars Colin Firth, Taron Egerton, and Channing Tatum. Channing Tatum is in this movie for about 5 hot minutes. Like he shows up in the movie and then he's gone for pretty much the rest of the movie. He has no significant role in this film, despite the fact that all the marketing makes you think he's in this movie. And then what they do is you have this great actor, and if you want to know how good he is, just watch Narcos, in Pedro Pascal, who gets absolutely no billing in this movie, and he is a far more significant and important character in this movie than Channing Tatum or Halle Berry or any of the other people they put up on the posters. And then, and this is one of the worst ones to me, if you've looked at the IMDb page or any of the promotional posters, you know that Elton John appears in the film. And when he first pops up in the film, it's a cute little cameo and you think, oh, that was cool and that was cute and that was funny. And then he shows up again, and then he shows up again, and then he shows up again, and then he shows up again. And he's like, okay, I'm over this joke. You're beating this freaking thing to death. I mean, seriously, without exaggeration, Elton John is in this movie more than Channing Tatum is, and it's not fun. Then, of course, the big question everybody's asking going into the second Kingsman is, how do they bring Harry back? Like, what's the setup? What's the explanation for bringing Harry back? Yeah, they have an explanation, and it's not a satisfactory one at all. Like, the moment they introduced this, I was just rolling my eyes, and it was just a really bad concept. I wish I could say more, but I'd be getting into spoiler territory. Let's just say I wasn't happy with their plot mechanism for bringing bringing Harry back. On the positive side of Kingsman The Golden CIrcle, the action is wonderful when there is action. Like I said, the opening sequence of the film is great. It's heart-pounding, it's great action. It reminded me a lot of the first Kingsman. Not a lot of the rest of the movie reminded me of the first Kingsman, but the opening action sequence certainly did. And then throughout the film, there are some fight sequences, and they're very well choreographed. They look great on screen. I mentioned Pedro Pascal. He's absolutely fantastic in this movie. Now, I'm a little Pedro Pascal-centric heavy right now because I've been watching Narcos, but really, he comes across really great. Once again, Taron Egerton does a very good job carrying the film as Eggsy. He's able to pull off the street rat kind of guy, like your Aladdin kind of character at the one hand, but at the same time come across as suave and debonair like a new James Bond character. He plays both sides of that coin really well. Overall, I'd say that Kingsman The Golden CIrcle isn't necessarily a bad film. I just felt really kind of disappointed with it because I love the first one so much. Ramping up the silliness factor from 5 to 9, taking it from a little bit of satire to just a wacky, crazy satire at the same time, it diminished the importance of some of the good action that they do have in the films. The marketing is pretty misleading, letting you think certain characters are important when they're not, taking what should have been a cameo way too far to become eye-rolling, replacing a Sofia Boutella character with robot dogs. I mean, it just got to be too much that I felt dissatisfied walking out of the theater. Again, I didn't hate it, and I think some of you may actually still like it. I'm just saying, for me, it was a big step down from the original. Listen, guys, while you're here, why don't you take a second, click on that subscribe button, become a subscriber to my YouTube channel, click the thumbs up button, leave a comment, share your thoughts, and make sure you're following me on social media simply at John Campea. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me, and until the next video, bye-bye.